Peace. What's happening, good people? This gift here if it pay us no mind. And today is just an open floor as I have a new house that I bought. It's done. We moved in. I'm in a new space. So now I'm testing this new setup, so I just figured, man, because it's taking me a stretch, man, to just get back into the flow of things. So I figured, man, let's just go live. Let's just jump in, dive in. That's the way I like to move sometimes, man. When I feel immobilized to some extent, because I got so many things going on that I'm trying to figure out what I should do first. And I end up doing none of them because there's too many things, right? Just dive in, pick a thing and do it. So I was like, hey, you know what? Let's just go live. Let's jump in and see what y'all got on y'all plate, man, for the new year. What questions, what's boggling your brain for this new year? What are you trying to figure out? What your goals are, where you trying to get to, things of that nature. Just have some real talk, man, and everything like that. So let me just check the system, make sure y'all can hear me good and everything, because like I said, this is new place, new situation. Y'all see the background different, all of that stuff, man. So let me see what's good, y'all. Word up, man. And we'll still be doing the Wednesday show, right? But I just wanted to jump on and just test everything rather than test it on Wednesday, right? So yeah, man, I hope everybody feeling good. I hope everybody had a nice and safe New Year's, right? Everybody didn't get too drunk or whatever have you if you drank. Because, it wasn't really like party time out this beat, right? So, I mean, had a good time within reason, right? Now, something that I've been thinking about, man, is just, and some new things that I've been putting together in the way of marketing and promoting and stuff like that. Because I know by and large, the channel is most popular for the digital distribution review videos. And I do other videos about, marketing and things of that nature. And I just look at stuff with marketing because marketing is broken up into two different sections, right? Like marketing is like an all-encompassing thing that has multiple aspects to it. It's not just like you have advertising, which is a part of marketing. And you have branding, which is a part of marketing. And you have all of these different things that's a part of marketing. And a lot of times artists skip over all of those things and just focus on advertising. And the ads, by and large, won't be as effective as they could be, if they are effective at all, if those other aspects of marketing aren't taken care of. So if an artist doesn't brand himself effectively, then advertising isn't going to save the day. And that's one thing, I want artists to kind of like recognize for the new year, is that advertising, getting your music out there, because that's what advertising is. It's like, hey, look at me. Hey, guys, check me out. Hey, I'm here, right? You get people attention, people can turn around and they can say, okay, but if things ain't up to snuff, if the packaging ain't right, then you don't get the sale, right? And sometimes it can be counterproductive because you bring people to you, bring people attention to you, and if everything ain't together, and then they look at your product and they like, oh man, this is wrapped in toilet tissue, like this guy's got his name scribbled in magic marker, right? They take it home, even if they say, all right, let me give it a shot. This guy clearly looks like he's down on his luck. Let me give him a help. Let me give him a handout, right? So they take your CD, they take it home, they pop it, not a CD. Right? Old school. But let's say it's a CD, right? You're still out here selling CDs. They take your CD, they take it home, they pop it in, and the music sound like crap, or they take your flyer or whatever, right? They respond to your ad online. You have a graphic and the graphic is shoddy and the text is shoddy, but they still say, all right, let me give it a shot. But the mix is bad. It's not mastered. The song structure ain't correct, and there is no imaging that connects them with you to override any of that. It's like you're not gonna succeed despite those things because you're advertising. So those things have a tremendous amount of importance and they are not to be overlooked. Now, when we talk about branding, right? When we talk about branding, what do I mean with branding, right? Because when people start a conversation about branding, what people tend to float to is things like logos and trademarks and stuff like that. And that's a part of branding, but branding is more so a promise. Branding is a promise. What are people gonna get when they get you? If somebody buys, like when somebody buys a Nas album, they're expecting something. Nas has a brand. Nas's brand is intellectual, street thug. You know, he's coming with, socially conscious to some extent, but from a street perspective, right? Like he's not socially conscious like Common, where it's super positive and it's just about, either, hey, stop selling drugs, don't do bad, that type of stuff, right? He's not that kind of conscious. He's conscious in the way of, I'm aware. I know what's going on, the dynamics of the streets. I know the dynamics of the politics. I know history, and you expect to get that when you listen to a Nas album, right? All of those things. That's what you expect. That's Nas's brand. Hey, intelligence, right? Common has a brand. Mos Def has a brand. Jay-Z has a brand. There's things that you expect when you buy a Jay-Z album. There's things that you expect when you buy a DMX album. Those are brands. When you hear a song from another artist that sounds like those artists, when they're being mimicked, because you can say, hey, that guy sounds like Jay-Z. He's talking about stuff that Jay-Z talks about. He's talking about stuff or talking about things in a way that DMX talks about things, right? She sings like Whitney Houston, right? These people have brands and styles that are a part of their brand. And as an artist, you got to be able to recognize and say, okay, cool, well, what is my brand? And that it's not so bad when you don't know what your brand is. I think it's worse when the people who listen to your music don't know what your brand is. Because a lot of times, we can't see ourselves, we know we just make music, right? We just make music. So hold on, let me see if I can get this light in a little bit better, turn this down a little bit, right? So we know we just make music. And the music we make a lot of times is just stuff that we feel compelled to make. And we're not like sitting here psychoanalyzing our music and being like, oh, this music is about such and such and so and so. And that's a lot of times why it'd be difficult for artists to kind of like put pen to paper in regards of describing themselves or even putting their own bio together, because it's like, oh, I've never really looked at myself like that, right? I'll just make my music. But if somebody listens to your music and they don't have any idea who you are, that's a major problem. That's a major problem. And I would say by and large, that's why the vast majority of artists don't succeed. Like artists that actually have good music and fail despite that, fail despite marketing and promotion and having quality music. A lot of times it's because no personality. It's like, who are you? And to some extent, it's not something that you can help, right? Because in music, especially in hip hop, your brand is your culture to some extent. It's how you live your life. It's the food you eat. It's the places you go. It's the things you do. It's the kind of weed you smoke. It's the sports teams you root for. It's all of those things, right, that make up the brand. So it's like when we look at brands like Wu-Tang Clan and Mobb Deep and those types of stuff, and I stick to hip hop because that's what I know, right? Like, but you could apply this to anything. Rock, right? Metallica, Slipknot, all of those brands have cultures. Rock is like the hair and the spiked bracelets and the jackets and all of that other stuff. It's a culture that comes along with the music. So it's like with all of these different artists, like with Mobb Deep, you had terminology that came along with them, like done and all of this other stuff, man, and the drinks that they drink, right? Hennessy, we know that. We know Tupac and Thug Passion. We know Jay-Z and when Puffy and them came through with the shiny suit era, Versace and Cristal and all of this type of stuff. They brought culture with them. And a lot of times, some artists, right, they don't have a culture that is unique. They're not bringing anything unique in that capacity, where it's like they don't really have any kind of drink that everybody else ain't already drinking. They don't wear any kind of clothes that everybody ain't already wearing, right? They don't eat at no place that everybody already don't eat at, or isn't really like common in music already, right? And when that's the case, it's like ho hum. You drop a release and it's like, yo, I'm just the guy, and people treat you just like the guy. They say, okay, well, and when it's that, when you don't really have a culture that's unique to the market that you're bringing with you, then that's when you got to kind of create a character. And that's where you can get yourself in trouble too, with trying to create a character where you say, okay, well, I'm going to be this wild and crazy person, and you create this crazy character that people might not really rock with and might expose you as a fraud and all sorts of other things, man. But by and large, culture is the easiest way to build a brand, and for those that have that, it's just a matter of looking at what you do and then exacerbating that, where you talk about it in your music and you make it a part of your imagery, the photos you post to Instagram and things of that nature, where when you are putting on display, yo, here's my favorite drink, here's my favorite food, here's my favorite sports team, right? It becomes very easy to build culture when you are living a certain lifestyle that lends itself to it. And when you don't have that, it becomes more difficult to brand that way. And for artists who are trying to brand that way, they become, or who don't have the culture to brand by, then it becomes about the music solely. And with the music being the thing, then it becomes about radio to some extent, various forms of radio, be it Pandora radio, be it Sirius XM, or be it pushing through Spotify or Deezer or something like that, where the focus is just on the audio. People hear the song. Do you like the song or do you not? Because you got artists like Deborah Cox, artists like who else? I can't think of anybody else. But it's like Deborah Cox, for instance, right? This was a singer. She came out with a song called How Did You Get Here? It was a great song. But there was nothing about Deborah Cox where you say, okay, well, if you hear a song, you say that sounds like a Deborah Cox song, right? Because there wasn't really like a whole lot of personality to her, right? There was no narrative. So it's like a singer like Mary J. Blige, who has a narrative, right? Where she comes, hey, I'm the hip hop soul princess, right? Rough, rugged. I come from the hood. I sing like I'm dealing with hood culture and struggles, right? And she's singing about these struggles with the men she's dealing with and all heartbreak and drama and all this other stuff. And then she grows up and she says, no more drama. And the audience grows up with her because they were out in the street going through the drama too, and now I'm like, I'm tired of it. I just want to be done with it. Then she moves on to the next album. Hey, I found love. I'm living life. I'm an older woman. Yes, that's right. We found love and we live in life. We think we're in love. And she has a brand and she has these narratives, these storylines that she can push out to the audience for them to flow through, for them to connect with her, right? And that sustains her and keeps her career going. Whereas a Deborah Cox, people like that particular song. They say, hey, it's a great song, but her career fades as that song fades because there's nothing else to sustain people's attention. There isn't anything like, okay, well, what's Deborah Cox going through right now? Don't really care. I don't really know her story to be even concerned about what she's going through right now. She's just somebody that made a song that I like. And now that that song has kind of faded to black, I don't really have too much concern for her. when the song comes on while I'm listening to radio or whatever, it's like, ah, cool, this is what's up. I remember this. You know, this was one of my favorite songs back in the days. But beyond that, I'm not gonna go to Instagram and look up Deborah Cox. What's what she got? I don't really care what she got going on. You know, same thing with artists that made things like you look at the Baha Men with "Who Let the Dogs Out?" Woof, woof. That song back in the days that came through to play through at the stadiums and stuff like that. People liked the song. They didn't care about the group. You know, nobody's going to go Googling Baha Man or, you know, looking them up on Instagram to see what they up to. People don't care. They like that song. The song popped off for a stretch. When the song faded, so did they. The 369 Boys, and this is, I'm showing my age, but for those who remember these guys, right? They had Tootsie Roll, Tootsie Roll. Everybody was with that song. The song fade, so too does the group, because they don't really have a brand for people to identify with. You have, and sometimes people come with brands, but they are short-sighted. There's no longevity to it. Like, I forget the name of that group, but they came out with that song, Lean With It, Rock With It, Lean With It, Rock With It, right? And White Tee and My White Tee and all of that type of stuff. Those guys, they came and went too, right? So, I mean, by and large, though, if you have a brand tied to a culture and you have content built around that, you know, with your videos and your photos and everything like that, it's all built around it, and you advertise your music with all of that in tow, you are much more likely to succeed than if you advertise and don't have any of that. And me, who has run advertising campaigns for a bunch of different artists, that's what I can honestly say to you seems to be the big differentiator between success and failure. You know, the artists that I have marketed for that had that imagery and all of that stuff together have experienced a level of success where people have become fans of theirs and there's money there for them. And the artists that haven't had that, it's been a struggle. People, even when people like the song and the song performs well in the way of generating streams, people listen, they say, this is nice. They add it to playlists, they add it to their library. But then when that artist drops the next song, it's like ground zero, starting all over again, because the person didn't really connect with them on any level. They didn't even remember their name. They got the song in their playlist, they listen to it, but they don't care about the artist at all. So it's like having that brand and building that brand becomes absolutely critical, man, to your longevity and to your profitability, all of those things, man, you know. And deviating from that real quick, because I was thinking about with the digital distribution stuff that I do, because you got a revenue, and revenue is like what you make, the money you make. And then you have profit, and profit is what you bring home after all of your expenses and everything like that. You know, what's your profit? So with the digital distributors going forward, I'm gonna kind of start looking at them from that perspective, you know, like which one allows you to bring home the most profit. Now, there are other factors, right, outside of profit, because profit, you know, you have things like the profit from streaming platforms, but the profit from streaming platforms isn't all there is. You know, you got content ID revenue that comes in and how much profit you keep from content ID revenue. And then you got the fact that some distributors offer you capital, right? Which is like startup money to some extent, or not startup money, but just investment money that you can use to do stuff with. Some offer sync licensing and all of that, all of those other things that can create more money for you that isn't necessarily there already for you to say, okay, well, here's how much I get of that. It's more potential money, right? So there's other factors, but that profit thing would allow you to see which of the distributors that has like all of the things that you would want, but also gives you the best profit. You know, so that's something I'm going to get to too. So I'm going to check the chat room, man, see who went here on this spontaneous live stream. You know, shout everybody out that jumped on for this spontaneous live stream, right? I know it's been a while, man. I think I missed a couple Wednesdays and everything as I've been getting ready for this move, packing everything up, man. And, you know, oh, man, it's been hectic. It's been a fight. If you guys let me know, tell me, in the comments, Do you guys care to hear the story of me getting this house? If you care to hear the story about the struggle and the trials and tribulations I went through, and also just from the standpoint of perseverance and how you kind of got to push through, because I will tell you, the whole issue that I had, the struggle that I had to get this house had a lot to do with being a self-employed person. And as an independent artist, you are, unless you work a job on the side, or like your job is your main thing, as an artist, right? This is a struggle that you might have to deal with too, because that's what it was all about. Me being self-employed and self-reliant, and that's what caused the challenges that I had to go through to get this house. But if y'all want to hear the story, let me know. I'll tell y'all the story. I'm gonna shout everybody out, and then we're gonna get to questions if anybody got them. Let's see who in here, man. Effetche Music was good, yo. Official PBD, what's up? Happy New Year to you too, fam. Ewan Marshall was good. Minister of Badness, what's up? Right. Live, what's up? Omanji was good. Nisi D, what's up, mama? Happy New Year. Urex TV was good. Get You a Bag was popping. Regard Bomber, what's up? Lil Guillotine was good. J Love, what's up? Musin Throat was good. All right. Yeah. So we look at it and we say, okay, let me see what people talking about in here. Everybody, Happy New Year. Somebody said, what do you think about iMusician? I don't. I tell you, man, my recommended digital distributors are TuneCore. And if you think they're too expensive, or you don't want to pay, if you didn't think they're too expensive, it's TuneCore, because they give you 100% capital and they have sync licensing opportunities, stuff like that, right? And behind them is CD Baby, right? So it's TuneCore, it's CD Baby, and then outside of them, I would say Lander if you wanted to do unlimited, or Ditto if you are looking for a cost-effective way to do limited. So that's my distributors. I say TuneCore, CD Baby, Ditto, and Lander. That's what I say you should go with. And anything outside of that, like if you are just like kind of like pissing in the wind in regards to digital distribution, where you're not really like seriously trying to do anything, you're just trying to pull out a filler and see, well, maybe if you shock yourself and, oh my God, people actually like my music, right? If it's that kind of thing, then probably Amuse, where you just test the waters and just put it out there and see what's up, right? But my top four are TuneCore, CD Baby, Ditto, and Lander. That's what you got to choose from. iMusician, I looked at it. I looked at all these distributors that you guys asked me to check out. I don't do reviews on them, but I looked them up. So iMusician, Song Trader, what's the name of it? The other one, I forget. But yeah, I look at all of them, man, and they're not good. The offers aren't good, and yeah, that's that. Get You a Bag said, did you hear about Spotify removing 750,000 songs a few days ago? I heard it affected a lot of artists on DistroKid. I saw somebody post something like that on Instagram. Somebody had put up something about how a whole bunch of artists got their music removed, but I haven't heard about it. I mean, is it a story? Did somebody write something about it? Is it on Billboard? Somebody linked me to something that's like official regarding it, because it's difficult to respond to hearsay, when it's just something floating through the grapevine. You need to really be able to prove these things rather than it being, have you heard so-and-so has got their music removed? Like, well, what's the proof? I don't even know if that really happened, so somebody hit me with a link or something that kind of like provides some insight into it. I know that DistroKid has lax clearance where anybody can pretty much upload anything and they'll accept it. So it's like, it wouldn't shock me if their artists were the ones getting their music pulled, because that's where people go to do the shenanigans. You know, when people are rapping over other people's beats and stuff like that, other digital distributors will flag that before it makes its way to a streaming platform. You know, whereas DistroKid is less strict. So, you know, that wouldn't shock me. So it wouldn't shock me for copyright infringement. It wouldn't shock me if streaming fraud, you know, because by and large, man, you think about why a lot of artists choose DistroKid. They choose it because, hey, it's only $20 a year, you know, and it's like, well, if I don't make any money, I didn't spend a lot of money. So you're dealing with a lot of artists that aren't coming with like investment money to like really make something happen with their music. That's why they're looking for a distributor that only charges $20 a year. So if you come in and you're looking for a distributor that only charges $20 a year because you ain't got a whole lot of money to spend, then that gives you insight into the method of the mode of operation. And that means the same way they was looking for $20 digital distribution, the same way they're going to be looking for $20 music marketing and promotion and stuff like that. They're not going to be going and dealing with like legitimate companies that charge a lot of money because they clearly don't want to spend a lot of money. So they're going to go to these companies that are like, give me $50 and I give you 100,000 streams, and they're gonna be like, oh, 100,000 streams for $50, right? And they're gonna pay that and get a bunch of fake streams, then get flagged and get their music taken down and be like, I can't believe they flagged me for fake streaming. Like, bro, $50, 100,000 streams. What did you think? The streams was real? Like, it comes down to like, yo, man, if it's too good to be true, probably is, right? But when you got folks that don't want to spend the money or don't have the money to spend, that's what you're dealing with. And that's why I always say, like, yo, if you don't have the money, you know, because this is a business. You know, when you get into the realm of commercial music, it's a business, and the business takes startup capital. And if you ain't got the startup capital to like build a business, then you should be out trying to get discovered effectively. Not so much focusing on digital distribution and all of that other stuff. You should just be like rapping on Instagram and boosting your posts, right? Like you put up a post with you rapping or singing or whatever and boost it to try to like get the attention of somebody that's in an influential position that can help you. You know, things like YouTube, SoundCloud, those are free platforms. You can just put a song up on SoundCloud. You can just put a song up on YouTube, you know, and post it to your social media and boost it. And hope that you attract the attention of somebody that will rock with you. Now, if you know you don't have the talent where anybody that would be interested or looking for talent is going to sign you, and it's more so just, yo, I want to make money. I want to do music and make money despite the fact that I don't have the talent and all this other stuff because it's just something that I like to do, then I don't know what to tell you. You know, that's a whole other wave. Regav says, does DistroKid Shazam at $1 good for value? I mean, you don't need to do Shazam. If your music is in Apple Music, it's on Shazam. So that's just more of a reason why I don't like DistroKid, right? Because they know that you don't need to distribute to Shazam, but if they could squeeze an extra dollar out of you, why not? Right? And that's pretty much their policy. They have you paying for there's a lot of different things that they are going to do no matter what that they're charging you for. Yeah. So my main advice is don't use DistroKid. That's what I would say, brother. Lil Guillotine says, I have my Facebook ads running to make conversions on my feature FM page. Spotify is saying I'm getting only a few dozen plays despite feature FM saying I have 2,000 service clicks. Have you ever had this problem? Listen, if it's a single, yeah, because people who are streaming Spotify on the free tier can't stream on demand. So if you are advertising on Instagram and Facebook, most of the people you're reaching are probably on a mobile device. And if they're on a mobile device, that means they can't listen to the song effectively. The only way they can listen to the song is if they make it back to a desktop computer, or if they add it to a playlist and then go and put that playlist on shuffle and just hope the song comes up. So most of the people that you're advertising to can't listen to the song. So the fact that you got 2,000 clicks and not a lot of streams is totally common, unless you are directing people to a playlist of all of your songs. And that way, you wouldn't even get a lot of songs for the stream still. You would just get a lot of songs, a lot of streams for your catalog, So it's like when you are trying to push a single, Spotify is not the best place to send people. Pushing a single, you will probably want to focus more on YouTube or SoundCloud, where people can actually stream the individual song. And if you want to focus on a platform like Spotify, you will be best suited to do direct ads, where everybody you're reaching on Spotify is effectively on Spotify. Now, even with the Spotify direct ads, you're still reaching people on a free tier, so it still presents the same problem, right? But at least with the Spotify direct ads, you can restrict the ads to showing on people who are on desktop computers, which allows you to effectively reach people who can stream on demand. Yeah, man. Yeah, brother. Yeah, man. All right. So real quick, I'm going to tell a story. All right. Do I have water here? I thought I did. Where I put that water at? Right here. So let me tell a story. Here's a little story that I got to tell. Okay. So my wife had a dream. And in her dream, she saw a number on a house. And she was searching the internet for a house in a place that we wanted to live. And she came across the number on a house in an area that we weren't really considering moving to. But because I'm self-employed and I work from a computer, we can pretty much move anywhere. So we say, let's go check it out. House, too expensive. Costs way more than what we could afford. But we decided to look at it anyway. And then when we got back home, the owner dropped the price. Now, the price that the homeowner dropped the price to was still more expensive than what we wanted to pay. So we decided to offer the homeowner $50,000 less than his asking price. And what happened was he accepted it. He accepted the offer against other offers, because you have what's called conventional loans and FHA loans, right? And FHA loans come with restrictions, like there can't be no chip paint. Effectively, there can't be like any kind of like damage in the house and stuff like that. Like you can't buy a house with an FHA loan and say, hey, I'll just repair this thing that's broken. You can't do that. Those things have to be fixed before they'll allow you to buy the house, right? So he liked the fact that our loan was conventional, so he took us, right? Now, here's the issue that I ran into with the mortgage people, the lenders and stuff like that. We got approved for a loan, and they do a pre-approval where they say, hey, you're approved for the loan. You go out, you find a house, you put a bid on it, right? You pay for an inspection for people to come out and take a look and make sure everything is up to snuff. So that's you're already in the hole, right? You done spent money on an inspection and stuff like that, right? And then after all of that, right, you gonna put a bid in on the house. The homeowner believes he's selling his house. You done got an inspection done and all this other stuff. Then they start the underwriting process, And what underwriting is when they start digging into your financials, when they start looking at, okay, well, how much money you got coming in, where is your money coming from, whether you have enough money to pay for the house, whether your money, your income versus your debt, and all of this different type of stuff. Now, the issue that I ran into was they was looking at my income and they saying, because I'm self-employed, they basically disregarded my income for 2020. They said, we can't accept your income. You're self-employed, and because you're self-employed, we can't say that it's valid income because you could be making it up. That's what they said. So they could only go by the previous 2 years tax returns and not my current income. So that was like one hiccup, because it's like, okay, well, how do you know, like you're saying that I need to make up a certain amount now, but you're disregarding how much I make now. And it was like a mess with that. And one lender was like harassing the ish out of me to like provide documentation, like, yo, listen, because they said due to coronavirus, right, that they have to impose more restrictions on self-employed people because so many self-employed people were losing business and going out of business. So literally they were combing through my bank account like basically purchase by purchase, you know, debit by debit. And it's like, well, you had a deposit of this much. Where did that come from? You had a deposit of that much. Where did that come from? You had a deposit of this much. Where did that come from? And I have to provide all of these invoices and all this other stuff. And then they wouldn't accept the invoices. They say, oh, you know, we need traditional statements from a bank, you know, with like a bank account number on it going to and a bank account number on it coming from. And for anybody that knows the internet, right, that does anything in the way of internet, you know that those statements don't come like that. The money that you get from Shopify, YouTube, things of that nature don't come in those like how a bank statement would come, right? And they wouldn't accept the stuff from YouTube or Shopify or anything like that. All of those things was like invalid to them. So I say, okay, clearly they're not going to approve me for the loan here, right? Because they're not going to accept what I have in regards of proving my income. So I move on to another lender, right? Now, hold on. Let me plug this computer in because it's dying. Hold on, y'all. Where this thing is at? I gotta plug in this computer. Right? Fun times. I should have had this plugged in already, but as we get back into the flow of things, we show everything, right? Let me see and make sure we get to go, right? There we go. Yeah, so I move on to another lender, and they accept my income, but there's another challenge, right? There's something called with your student loans, right? Because I went to college for a stretch, and I had these student loans, and the student loans were eating into my debt to income ratio and throwing it off, where I didn't qualify for the loan because of my student loans, right? So I asked the guy, I said, hey man, do y'all accept the income-based repayment plan? If I'm on an income-based repayment plan, you know, will y'all accept that? And they say, first guy says, yeah, but then he goes on vacation and they switch me to a new guy. And the new guy says, I don't know, I got to check with the underwriters. So he checks with the underwriters and he comes back and he says, no, we don't accept income-based repayment plans. And he says, okay, well, you know, you might want to take on a cosigner. So I take on a cosigner, or really first I have him run the cosigner's numbers to make sure the cosigner will actually qualify me. So he runs the cosigner numbers, he comes back, he says, yes, they'll qualify you, right? Then we put the cosigner on the paperwork, and then he comes back and he says, sorry, cosigner don't qualify you. After we put the cosigner on the paperwork, right? So then it's like, okay, so I don't qualify with the cosigner. and the student loan thing is throwing off my debt to income ratio. So it looks like I'm not going to qualify for the loan until, and this is perseverance, right? I start digging. So I go and I research income-based repayment. I look up Fannie Mae because I know Fannie Mae establishes the guidelines that all of them have to go by. And Fannie Mae says, hey, if you're on an income-based repayment plan with your student loans, they have to accept your income-based repayment plan and go by that, right? And what's on your credit report. So I contact them and I'm like, hey man, you're supposed to go by the income-based repayment plan. You know, like I contact them, the receptionist, she pulls up the info cards. She says, you're right? We are supposed to go by that. So then I'm calling the dude and I'm like, yo man, like, so what's going on here? Why'd you tell me no? And the lady tries to say, you know, that the reason why they didn't accept the income-based repayment plan was because it renews. It has to renew like every year, which is absurd because there is no such thing as a permanent income-based repayment plan. They all renew. So if you accept income-based repayment plans, you accept them. There is no because they renew. It was just absurd, right? But yeah, after arguing with her and yelling at her on the phone, right, she says, hey, we're going to go to the underwriters. The underwriters come back. They say, yeah, we're going to remove the student loan debt from your income to debt ratio. New problem. My income and the cosigner income, now it's too much to qualify, right? Because they say, hey, we had you on some type of special conventional loan, right, that they made up for minorities or whatever have you. So they say now you overqualify and no longer qualify for the loan because you make too much money. And in order to take the cosigner off the loan, we have to start you all over again from the beginning. And you have, like when you are selling a house, buying a house from somebody, you have a closing date, which is the date that you're supposed to have the deal done by. And if it's not closed by the closing date, then the homeowner can effectively put the house back on the market and sell to somebody else. So we had a closing date of the 4th. And you're like a day away from the 4th, right? And now they're saying that they will have to start me from the beginning, which it takes like almost a month to process you, you know? So they say, well, we'll expedite it and try to move fast, and maybe we could try to get it done by Christmas. And now I had to go back to the homeowner and say, yo man, check it. I had to go back to the homeowner and be like, yo, can I get an extension? And the homeowner says, I'm going to put the house back on the market. And if I can't sell it for more than what I tried to sell it to you for by the end of the weekend, then I'll extend you, right? So then I had to wait till the end of the weekend, and then the homeowner signed the extension, and you know, we were able to move forward, right? But yet and still, the lenders say, because I'm self-employed, they can continue to verify my income up until the day I signed the papers to take ownership of the house. And that's exactly what they did. 12 o'clock, before I was driving down, before I was to get up and drive down to sign the papers for the house, they sent me a notice in their dashboard, 12 a.m., asking for invoices, signed invoices for. And I had to, luckily I checked it at 4 a.m. I had to get up and scan and sign a whole bunch of invoices and scan them into the computer and upload them to their platform and everything like that at 12 a.m. Then 6 a.m. that morning, I got up. And something tell me check their dashboard. I checked their dashboard. Dashboard says we need a recent receipt, a receipt from a recent customer. And I had to go into Shopify and try to pull a receipt and all this other stuff to upload to them 6 a.m. that morning before. Now, if I would have drove out to sign the paperwork and been out there at the meeting place and not home, the deal would have been dead. I would have lost the house. That would have been done, you know? So it's like all of these things that save my ass, right? Having a printer at home, right? Having documentation of where my income come from, right? And then just perseverance and not allowing, and this is the thing too, because people take the fact that people are supposed to be some type of authority for granted, where somebody says, hey, you can't do this, and because they're a banker, you say, well, he knows what he's talking about. I'm just a person, so I guess I got to accept that. Nah, do your own research, because these people didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I had to go and do my own research and correct them on a whole lot of stuff. And even a receptionist that I talked to about the income-based repayment thing with the student loans, because she had applied for a loan at the place that she worked at and got denied the loan because of her income with the student loans, and didn't know that they were supposed to go by income-based repayment plan, and she works there, right? So she was like, well, I got denied, but I didn't do the research like you. And that's my thing to y'all. Do your research, make sure your paperwork is tight, right? And make sure you have the student loan thing, right? But yeah, man, if you follow the story, man, it's wild. Don't take what people tell you as fact, right? Just make sure you look it up and make sure there's documentation of it, man. Because people will tell you anything just to get rid of you because they feel like you don't know anything, right? And it's just like, I am the authority here, and this is what happens, and now go away. And I didn't go away, right? Because even with me finding out that their information was wrong, I think they still would have probably came to me and been like, yo, nah, we're right, and got rid of me. But what I did was I sent them an email where I said, hey, man, listen, if y'all come back with any other outcome other than telling me that my income-based repayment plan can be accepted, I want the name of the underwriter that made that decision, and I want the document that outlines the guidelines that say that y'all aren't supposed to go by the income-based repayment and how, right? And I believe when I put that email together and sent that, they looked at that and it was like, okay, this guy's going to have checks and balances. We're not going to be able to tell him anything and have him accept it, right? We're going to have to prove what it is we say. And that, I think, helped a lot, So that's the story, right? That's the story of the house. Now we get to questions and back to you guys, right? Minister of Baptist says, I just got verified on Google and they made me a knowledge panel, which looks awesome. But do you think that helps with my image as an artist? I think it all helps. If people want to search for you and that come up, it gives people more information. So by that measure, yeah, it helps. Joel Rods says, for an independent artist, Ditto is great. I know people saying bad things about them. I mean, Ditto is cool. I mean, it ain't great because it's like their focus is Ditto Plus, where they have these more established acts that they deal with, right? But it's good. They're going to distribute your music. You're going to get your money, right? So by that measure, it's good, Like I said again, my favorites, TuneCore, CD Baby, Lander, and if you choose to use anything outside of that, it's play at your own risk, brother. Your Rex, what do you think about iMusician? Okay, iMusician. I will consider Ditto only for the Beatport option. DistroKid charges a lot just for YouTube Content ID. Yeah, they do. I use CD Baby and DistroKid. I was considering CD Baby, but it takes too much of a cut. Yeah, that 9% is a killer. But, I mean, it seems like you're trying to avoid paying a lot of money, And even though Lander is more expensive, it's still $80 a year for unlimited distribution. And I would go with them over DistroKid because they get you into more stores. Yeah, man. Any advice or service you recommend for sync licensing for YouTube covers? How much does it cost? Sync licensing for YouTube covers. Let Listen, I don't think you need to do that because the Music Modernization Act made it so that these platforms are responsible for paying the mechanical royalties for covers. So I don't think you need to go through a company to do the covers unless you want to sell them. Like unless you want to sell it on iTunes or something like that, it's not something that you need to do. Sharan says, can you explain about the process of uploading a song to YouTube to an artist's profile versus the song being uploaded to YouTube via the distributor, considering content ID? Can you explain the process of uploading a song to YouTube to an artist's profile? Oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is if you upload a song to your profile on YouTube, it's just the YouTube video. It's not even considered a song. It's just considered a YouTube video. And if your channel isn't in the partnership program, it's not monetizable. So you won't earn any revenue from the streams. And it won't show up on things like YouTube Music, which is the streaming platform for YouTube. So it's not a good thing to have your music uploaded directly to your YouTube channel unless you have Content ID, because Content ID will claim it as a song. And then you'll get publishing royalties and mechanical royalties and, sound recording royalties for it. And you'll get paid for it, like ads will run on it and you'll get the revenue from it, right? Even if the channel itself isn't in the partnership program and eligible for monetization. Now, if you are eligible for monetization, then all of that money comes directly to you. But like I said, again, it doesn't get identified as a song. So it just gets identified as a YouTube video. So you don't make it onto music charts. Your sales won't count towards like album sales, stuff like that, and if you got co-writers, people that you wrote the song with, or people who composed the song, things of that nature, they won't get their publishing for the revenue that's earned when you just upload a video directly to YouTube. So your co-writers and stuff like that won't get their publishing, the mechanicals, none of that would come from it. So that would be your responsibility now to pay them that. So YouTube would pay you the money from the ads, and then you will have to sit down and calculate how much you owe and mechanical royalties and performance royalties and stuff like that and pay it to your collaborators. Joel Ross says, do you recommend to have Song Trust and any distributor like Ditto? I mean, Song Trust you need no matter what distributor you go through. That's why I always keep the link to Song Trust in the description box. So if you look in the description box, you'll see a link to Song Trust with a discount, right? I think it's like $20 off Song Trust or something like that. But you need it. You need it to collect your mechanical royalties. So Song Trust is a must. Now, digital distributors, you can or can't. I mean, you can choose to use whoever you want to, but Song Trust is a must. Word up, man. So, thank you guys for joining into this spontaneous stream. I'm going to get on up out of here. I appreciate everybody. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm going to go and work on getting this lighting straight so it ain't so bright and my face ain't so light, right? I'm coming through looking like the Red Ranger from the Power Rangers, right? But yeah, man, y'all have a good night, man. Peace, y'all.